All right. Hi. All right, so let's begin. So part of my spiritual warfare series, I'm going to be speaking on how if you are experiencing spiritual warfare, if you're going through spiritual warfare, just know it's because they want you to lay down. They want you to be quiet. They want you to shut up. They want you to give up. They want you to think that you're doing something wrong. Especially if you are entering a space where you are new. You're not fully understanding what's happening. It may feel crazy or surreal, and I'm about to break it down because I have experienced my own testimony with spiritual warfare, and it's a lot that I've learned through it. And as you pray, continue to pray, but also continue to speak out, continue to live in your truth, because as you live in your truth, you break those bonds, those bindings that these entities try to put you under. It's like trying to bury you, and the only way you can unbury yourself through all of that is continue to speak out, live in your truth, because when you're authentic, that's the highest vibration. Nothing can turn the truth into a lie, even though they would try to manipulate it. But the truth is the truth. You can lie all day you want to, you can lie, but the truth is the truth. So the more you stay authentic, the more you speak up and speak out and just do and be you. Be you. Everything that they're throwing at you, these entities, these forces, the negative forces that be, it will fall off of you. Continue to pray, continue to go to Yahweh, continue to do what you're called to do, because everybody's called to do something else. Everybody's called to do whatever they're meant to do, and that's between you and your creator when you do your prayers and meditate on the word and things of that nature. But these entities, these forces, because sometimes you're gonna know why it's coming at you. Like, you're gonna know where it's coming from as well, what direction that someone's sending you this energy. And sometimes you're not gonna know. It could be a whole lot of people. It could be family, friends, people you used to know, co-workers, okay? It could be a whole lot. And they're gonna try to invoke fear to try to shut you up. But there's nothing to fear. Be fearless. Because as you continue to speak out, what I've noticed as I continue to speak in my truth and live in my authenticity and just live my life, there were these entities and forces trying to get me to dim my light, minimize my purpose, try to stop me from doing what I'm doing. It's like they wanted to be known that, hey, we're watching you. And if you continue to move forward with this, we're going to continue to see these attacks. It's like already kind of set up that way. Like, because I'm not trying to confuse y'all, but it's like there's layers to it, because there are people that practice different things on their own free time, whether you believe it or not. There are people that practice these things. Some people call it, the witchcraft, the voodoo, the hoodoo, and they take these practices and they turn it. They worship these pagan, entities, gods, and these forces. And yeah, people be devil worshippers and all that stuff. They be tapping into things whether they realize it or not. They be tapping into things, and don't put nothing past anybody, because it's not a certain look that they have. It's not a certain aesthetic. I know some people, you know, this is the age of social media, and there's so many aesthetics that goes on with spirituality and religion and things like that and theology. But some of these people can just be a suit and a tie. You know, some of these people can be the 9-to-5 workers. They don't have to be entrepreneurs. They don't have to be part of the spiritual religious community. Some of these people go to church every Sunday, okay, that practice these things behind closed doors. Not everybody uses the Bible verses for good. Some people try to use these Bible verses to invoke evil and speak evil against your life. Now, that's what they believe, though. You know what I mean? So that's why you need to make sure that you believe that they have no dominion or sovereignty over your life. Because if you start to accept that reality that you are weighed down and you're giving up hope, they're going to try to bury you. These forces will try to bury you and make it seem like you have to give up. Make it seem like you just got to stop moving forward. Make it seem like you just have to submit, or this is just going to be your life. And you can't ever stop fighting. Because whether you realize it or not, we are all warriors in the spirit. And you must not give up on yourself. Continue to pray over your family members. Continue to pray over yourself, your children, your animals. Pray over everything, okay? Be careful who you take food from, drinks from, money from. Pray over every gift they give you. Pray over everything. Because not everyone has the best intentions, okay? And let me show you, and let me give you some signs. There's some signs that these forces that people try to send your way, whatever they conjured up, they're not getting away with this. You know what I mean? No one's ever going to get away with anything, because everything would balance itself out. Even if it's seemed like a long season and you don't know what's going on, continue to move forward. Do not seek revenge. Do not go low. Don't do that. Because they want you to get into this back and forth. You know, they want you to get into this tit for tat. And when you do that, even if they sent something your way first, let the higher forces handle it. Let Yahweh handle it. Because if you start, because the only thing you really need to do to combat these things really is prayer and trusting in Yahweh. Continue to embody love, because these forces are doing this. Some people may never experience this, but if you're clicking on this video, I'm pretty sure that's why you clicked on here, because you're going through it as well. You are raising the consciousness of the planet. And what I mean by that is you embody light, you embody love, you embody a certain energy within you, a certain spirit that just wants to spread kindness among the world and lift it up. And there's these negative forces that want to control people and dominate people and put them in this low vibration to make them, so they can feed off of you. They feed off the negativity. These negative people, they feed off negativity, they feed off fear. And that is very important. They feed off fear. They feed off a nervous system that is out of whack. They feed off of it because they want to scare you. They want you to, like I said, they want you to be quiet. They want you to just shut up. They want you to just fall back in line. And we're not doing that. Continue to live in color. Continue to do you. Continue to laugh. Continue to have fun. And do not allow these forces that be, because if you already know what it is. You picked up on the signs. You picked up on the coincidences. That's not really coincidences. Like, okay, that's it's just like some things are just not a coincidence. And I'm not going too much detail on that, because your situation is going to be different. Everybody's situation is going to be different. Everybody's going to be experiencing different things, but it could be similar, because then it's like trying to make you a target. And you're going to be like taking a step back, like, why is this happening? It's like so surreal. And unless you know someone that also experienced what you're experiencing, you're going to feel like you're going crazy. And that's the whole point. And they be using this technology to do that as well. These ads they put on your screen while you're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. they're seeping messages through there too to get into your consciousness, your mental state, because they want to try to make you frantic, to make you believe that you're crazy. But I've been noticing like different omens, right? And with these birds, and how people can try to use animals for there are things that can enter these animals to try to make them do what they want them to do. They can be used as monitoring spirits. They can be used as a trying to invoke, I see it as trying to invoke a sense of fear, or you're being watched, and it's like, okay, that's not gonna make me be quiet. That's not gonna make me spread the truth, stop spreading the truth. That's not gonna make me stop saying what needs to be said. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm saying this to say that you could be experiencing these things too, and you could be thinking like you're doing something wrong. No. Especially if you know you're just speaking your truth and you have good intentions, because some people be saying things out here and it's like, use your discernment to always take it back to the Lord. But let's be honest, you just gotta see it for what it is on some things. You gotta make it make sense, and just putting the pieces together and realizing that I just gotta live my life and do what needs to be, and be me, who the Lord created me to be. I've also noticed other things that happen as well as I try to use my voice and try to speak out and try to just say what needs to be said when it comes to the world that we're living in. And I'm not saying all this for people to live in fear. I'm saying all this so you can be aware and you can combat that fear by continuing to vibrate in your authentic energy and live your life being fearless. Because they only do these things because they want to feed off of you. Throat chakra, okay? You just gotta shake it off and keep it moving. So I also have a journal entry I want to go over right quick. So it says here, your level of understanding may be similar to someone else, but it's a different interpretation. And I put in quotation marks or parentheses, beliefs. So we all have different beliefs here. Even if we're under the same religion, where you consider yourself Christian, Catholic, Baptist, Buddhist, spiritual, this, that, whatever you consider yourself, we all have a different interpretation of what that is. It's like when we read the Bible, everybody has their own different interpretation. That's why when you see people that use the Bible, they try to use it in a way to put chains around people. They try to use it in a way to control people, to manipulate people. That is why it's important to read the Bible for yourself and develop your own understanding of it. Meditate on the word, pray on the word for yourself, for your own understanding, so you can gain that knowledge. So you're just not out here codependent on someone else, because you don't need a middleman for you to talk to Yahweh. You don't need a middleman. You don't need to go through anyone to have that direct contact with Yahshua at all. Because at the end of the day, we all have our different interpretations, but the whole point of churches and these congregations is to come together to glorify Yahshua, to show love and peace for one another, but also that space is to glorify the Creator, not to try to judge people, control people, try to tell them how they should be living their lives, and try to look down on them for what they have and what they don't have, and how they live in it, how they not living. That's not what that space is for. So be aware of that. That just because you have a different interpretation of a verse or the Bible, that doesn't mean you right or wrong. It doesn't mean the other person is right or wrong. It just means that you can think for yourself and they can think for themselves, because the Lord be dropping messages down to people in different ways, the way that it needs to be dropped down. The Lord may tell me something and may tell you something different, and you're going to understand it because that's the way your life is going on your journey, and this is the way I'm going on my journey. So you can always come together and compare notes and share your stories, share your testimonies. Yes, but it's not about right or wrong. perspective and circumstances, their interpretation. So don't let people try to make it seem like, because I've been seeing that, observing that, and even feeling that way myself, that I have to live a certain way, I have to be a certain way, because if I'm not, then I'm doing it wrong. And it's not about looking to man to tell me how I should live in my life. It's about looking to the Creator, and He's going to give me what I need to be doing, what I don't need to be doing. Because He chastised those that He loves. So you're going to know when it's meant for you, when it's not meant for you. That's why it's very important to use the discernment out here in this world when you're having these conversations with people, because you're going to get certain messages through people. The Lord speaks through people. And you're going to know, because it's going to hit home. It's going to be something that you were thinking about. You're just going to know what's for you and what's not for you. But be aware of people trying to come up to you and act like y'all the same, or y'all think y'all are the same. And it's not about division at all, but it's like this being aware that, okay, just because they think this, that doesn't mean they're wrong or right. It just means that's what they think. You can respect it and keep it moving, and it doesn't have to be a thing. You know, sometimes people feel like, well, I can't hang around you because you don't believe exactly the way I believe it, or you're not doing exactly what I want you to do. And that is not what this space is for. Because when I say there's an entity working in these religious and spiritual spaces to try to control people, to try to get people to operate out of fear, they try to manipulate religion, manipulate the teachings of Yahshua to turn into something that is not, to try to get people, just to try to get to feed off people. And that's another thing I've been noticing, but I'm gonna make a different video on that. These entities are working through these spaces, but some of you probably already know that. And it's very dangerous, I can say, because it's like when people try to come to these spaces for healing and try to go closer with the Lord, there are people that are operating as monitoring spirits that are carrying entities within them, whether they know it or not. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. So you could do is pray, but when you get a sign that you got to stay away from this person, then you need to move around. And you're going to get that sign, okay, this person is probably carrying a certain spirit within them, an entity that's on them. Because they're there too. You got to think about it. People are all healing. They're coming to these places to heal because life be tough, it be rough, people be broken. And we're coming here to get that spiritual, the soul food, call it soul food, to feed the spirit, to feed the soul, right? But you gotta also recognize that there are also people within these spaces that are struggling, that are not aware that they are operating with certain entities on them, and some of these people are being used, unfortunately. And then people can turn away from Yahshua, or they turn away because then they meet people that are trying to be so extreme to the point where they are not, if you get what I'm saying with that. You know, people, they turn away from certain churches, theology, religions, and believing in a higher power because they meet these people in these spaces, and these people can be so harsh or so judgmental and so holier than thou. And that's why it's very important to develop a relationship with Yahweh yourself, with self. You know, you one-on-one. Like I said, you don't need a middleman. And when you come in contact with other people that also believe in a higher power, they could believe in the same thing you believe. They could be, some of you consider yourself Christians and y'all are both Christians, but y'all probably have a different way of living, and that's okay. No one can judge one another how they live in their life. People got to stop acting like all Christians are the same, all Muslims are the same, that we all got to be doing the exact same thing in the exact same way. Just because I don't drink, that means you can't drink, and if you do drink, you're going to hell. Like, slow down, stop, speed, stop. No. Okay, moving on to my next journal entry. To evolve as a society, as a whole, because we're all one, y'all, we're all one. The ideas would need to be built upon each other. Gatekeeping stops the flow of evolution innovative, creative spark. Anyone born after me should be more intelligent and smarter than me, as they should. I believe people that are, I'm going to get into that, but anyway, we need more mentors and guides to lead others through the stages. Share the wealth. And when I mean the wealth, I mean knowledge and wisdom. That's what I mean by wealth. Share the wealth instead of trying to gatekeep, right? But let me go through this. When I said anyone born after me should be more intelligent, should be smarter, should be smarter, should be as they should, because I know a lot of people like to think just because you're older than a kid or you're older than someone that you're smarter and more intelligent, not realizing that the youngins know more than us. Because life is always evolving, society is always evolving, and I can use technology as an example. My younger sibling, or this the younger generation, they're able to pick up on technology more quicker than someone that is kind of already up in age and they're just starting to learn about technology. Or, you know, we have our phones, but then let's say they about to learn something new, they might take a little bit longer. But the kids, they're already catching on very quickly because they're really raised upon it. That's kind of like not all they know, but it's like they just know more, they're learning more, and the curriculum is always changing. And I'm not just talking about the education in schools, because that's also that's a different conversation about the education system. But these children, they're already on the internet, they're already on social media, and they're already looking up things and learning things and doing and reading. And you can learn a lot from that. They already be knowing. Children are not dumb. So to think that just because you are up in age and that you know more than someone that's younger than you is very ignorant. You should not be threatened by someone that's younger than you. You should be happy. That's not the word I'm looking for, but you should be happy that someone that is younger than you know more, because that means with that knowledge and wisdom that they have, they can go far. They can go farther than me, because they already learned these lessons, that they don't have to go through certain lessons that I had to go through in life, or experience certain things that I needed to experience to grow, to build me up, because I didn't know any better, but they know better. However, they realize that they learn better by observing, by picking up, you know, because you learn a lot about observing and looking at other people's situations and hearing the end. It's like, okay, let me not do that. And then, you know, you can learn a lot that way. You know, everything got to be through trial and error. I learned a lot through trial and error. But if I had someone to tell me about certain things, I wouldn't have to experience certain things in my life. And some things you just have to experience yourself. That's just life. You're going to experience, you know, your human experience here. But I hope y'all understand what I'm saying with that. So yeah, as they should be more intelligent, because we have people that are threatened by the younger generation, or they're going to take my spot. They're going to replace me. And that's why you have all these people gatekeeping information. You have all these people gatekeeping these spaces. And this could be in careers, this could just be in general. It's like withholding information that can help someone because you don't want them to go farther than you or have that upper hand. And it's not like they have an upper hand over you, it's that they're younger and you telling them information that can help them, and they can go farther than probably you could ever been at that age, but as they should. That's the whole point of life. Helping one another to evolve. We share our ideas and we get inspired, and then we do something else with that inspiration and we share it, and then somebody else get inspired and they take that for what we put out and they get it could be anything, a book, food, anything. People could get inspired by anything in life. What you say, how you operate, the way you are, you just being yourself, being authentic, doing what you do, just living in your truth, just being you. People get inspired and they take this inspiration and they make something else with it. They combine it with who they are and they create something else, and then it goes on and on and on. And but we have these people. I want to say about people, just people in general, because I'm included in that too. So it's not about pointing fingers at anybody. This is just as a whole, as a society, what we can improve on and what we can do to be better people, and to be aware that we're not thinking in a certain mindset, that we gotta withhold information from people, that we gotta gatekeep, like they gotta experience, I don't know if y'all seen some of those videos where parents be like, the kids are too spoiled, they didn't go through what I had to go through, they need to experience some tough, so they try to make life extra tough for them on purpose. And it's like, that's not the way to go about. Like, my kids are most likely not going to experience what I experienced, because we're going to have two different parents. We're going to be living a different life, it's like, and I don't want them to experience some of the things that I experienced. They don't need to, they don't have to. It's giving me, I'm going to get a different example. The show Bel Air that was on Peacock with Carlton and Will. They didn't experience the same thing because they were raised differently. But then they would be like, oh, Carlton is privileged. Okay, he didn't actually be born into that family. Not everybody's actually born into money, or whatever circumstance that they have, whatever cards that you're given in life. You did not ask for it. You just have to do what it do with whatever you have. And so with that, it's like people be thinking that they can't just live. Because I'm getting there. It's like, I've been seeing, and y'all been seeing that too, where people feel like they have to have a struggle in life when they didn't have a struggle. Because we all have struggles. We all go through things anyway, even if you have money. But it's like, even without the money, we have mental, and other things that's happening in the background with family, friends, and it's so many other things that go on in life that people struggle with. But people think they have to force a struggle story because they feel like that's something like a little aesthetic. I gotta have the aesthetic of a struggle. I was in a hood, I was struggling, and I had to do this, and it's like, you came from parents that had a good I'm not saying, like, some of these people, it's like, you gotta understand, it's like some of these people be coming from homes that are upper class, and it's like, why do you want the struggle aesthetic? They be like teenagers and kids, but even adults be doing this now, and it's like, you have opportunities that other people will never have. Take advantage of those opportunities and go live your life, and go, because you can go farther than anyone can ever go. But people can look at that as they feeling guilty, or some people can make fun of you because you have opportunities, or you have both your parents. You have both your parents, and it's like, okay. Like, no one asks to have what they have. We're born into the life what we're born into. And people could try to make fun of you for that, or try to withhold information, or feel like, let me make life harder for you because I think that you had a certain life. But nobody really gets to know people anymore. I'm noticing as well, especially in my life that I experienced, people didn't really want to get to know me for real. So they don't know my story. They don't know what I've been through. They don't know what I experienced. But it's because I smile and I try to be optimistic, or just like to laugh and try to, put the best foot forward. No, you don't have any struggles, because I don't like to wear my struggles like a flag, like a badge, like on Front Street. I am done making my trauma and my pain my identity. I'm not doing that anymore, because I built a life out of pain and trauma, living in survival mode, And now I have to now build a life from a place of healing, from a place that is rooted in Yahweh. Because I was building a life running for myself, running for my past. And I was going to be miserable with that life because it wasn't true to who I am when I am healed. Because as I started to heal, going through that journey anyway, I started to lose interest in certain things that I was so eager to go after, but I was only eager after those things because I was in a certain mindset in the things that were at stake there. But now I have a different perspective of life, and certain things I don't want to do anymore, in a certain way I don't want to live anymore. Evolving out of who I used to be, because I was a lot of things that I did, a lot of life that I was building was built from a place of pain, trauma, and a hard heart. And I had to do a lot of heart chakra work. And when you start to do that healing, you realize, I don't want to do this no more. And then sometimes we don't even try to break away from the life that we was building because of the stability that you thought it was giving us, or that comfort zone, or this is what I had, this is what I said I was going to do, and I got to do it. And it's like, you can change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to pivot when you realize you're changing, because you already changed. You already had that spark. You already unlocked a different part of yourself, and there's no going back once it's unlocked. You can either let that love in, or you can try to stop the flow, but it's okay to release what naturally falls away from you that no longer resonates with you. And I was holding on to a lot that I didn't need to hold on to. And then bringing it back to spiritual warfare, there are going to be these entities. And that's also going to be people that can try to rage spiritual warfare on you, whether they know it or not. Whatever. Because it's not just people, it's also the forces that be. The unseen, okay? They don't want you to heal. They don't want you to... They were feeding off of that pain, that rage, that unforgiveness, the bitterness. They was feeding off of that. But once you start to forgive people, once you start to purify yourself, purify your soul, purify your spirits, step into that light, do that shadow work, go to Yahweh. They don't want that to happen. So they're going to do everything that they can to try to make life hard for you, try to put you in the chokehold, which is trying to bind up your finances, try to send try to affect your health, to try to invoke any type of fear, any type of catastrophe in your life, to try to get you to stop, to make you feel like you should not live in light, that you should not embody love, that you should be hateful and bitter because look what's happening in your life. Look what's going on. It's like, okay, you got to think of it like this is going to happen anyway, whether I chose to be this way or that way. So I might as well still choose to heal and be, it's like, and forgive anyway. That's worth it, more than trying to be bitter and angry and going to the dark side and feel like, and trying to make worshiping money or trying to make it seem like that's where it is, a materialism world, which got people in a chokehold, a lot of people, and they're miserable, and they're miserable. But it's like when you come to Yahweh and you're a child of Elohim and you're changing your life and you want to do better. You don't want to be like those people. You don't want to just have a life where you're just chasing money because you're fearing the economy. Because the economy is always going to be trash anyway because of the way life's set up in the society that we have no control over. So you might as well just do what you want to do. And what I mean by do what you want to do Do what makes you happy. Do what glorifies, and within that happiness, glorifying Elohim, living in alignment with Yahshua's teachings, love, peace. Like, really, you know what I mean? It's like, what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? Why would you want to go against that? And I know the answer to that is because of pain. It's like, they did this to me. How can I forgive them? And it's like, I'm still working on my own, healing my own. I'm actually at that point now, but it's like, because I've been working on forgiveness, because it was something that I thought that I would never really get down with. I was like, nah, nope. They did it. We standing on principle. Okay, but it's like, that's ego and not wanting to live that way anymore. And needing to really heal that, because it's like setting myself free. Forgiveness is setting myself free from that. And also not allowing the negative forces or people to try to trigger it. I can't get triggered by that anymore because I already healed that. And if I'm getting triggered, then I mean, that's something I need to heal. It's something I need to work on, so they have no bondage, no chain over me. Because we don't want no change or people trying to guilt us in shame and bitterness, because that's just feeding that other side. So we got to handle things with love. And people think that that means that you got to be naive or oblivious. And it's like, no, handling things with love and grace and mercy is coming from a place of understanding, humility, and compassion. That you were once in that position too. You was once in all that pain too and couldn't see anything else. I was their person too. Not in the exact same way, but I was there too. And it's like, we cannot take anything personal when someone has an attitude with you or try to come at you when you know you did nothing wrong to them, but you can't take it personal because there is an entity that is on them that is warped in that pain that they're going through, that they have to heal so it can be released from them and they can be set free. But only they can do that work. It's the internal work that you got to do. And it's always an ongoing thing, and we can't allow anything, anybody, anyone to stop that. No one can tell me. Because a lot of people try to argue and try to be like, oh no, that's pointless. Don't do that. That's a waste of time. Doing that for? You know, people think being nice or sharing kindness is a waste of time because there's scammers or people that are going to get over on you. Yeah, but who are you though? Who are you going to be? That's what they choose to wake up and do. What do you choose to wake up and do? Just because they do it doesn't mean you got to do it too. And that's just that. But yeah, you gotta make sure that you have your own level of understanding and thinking for yourself. Read the Bible yourself, or do your own research and pray. That's why I'm making these videos as well, because it's like this information I want to share with people that get to see this, but also when I meet people in person, I'm going to be sharing things as well. But the people that I can't meet in person, hey, you have this video. Because it's like, we shouldn't be gatekeeping information from each other, because we're all one. Me lighting another candle don't stop me, don't take out my flame. You know what I mean? Me helping someone else doesn't take away from me, whether they're, because I know I used to be that way too. Like I used to like take a step back away from helping certain people because they were iffy. I'm using the word iffy because I can't find the word and I'm about to wrap this up. But they were iffy, but the Lord had to sit me down and be like, it doesn't matter. You got to help them anyway. It don't matter if I send, because sometimes the Lord sends us to help certain people, and certain people will try to do you wrong and they will do things, but it's like, still help people from kindness, you know, from a place of love, and making sure you're not doing things to be loved or to be liked or be seen a certain way. I'm doing this because this is who I am. This is what I embody. And sometimes, like I said, the Lord will send you to people to help them, to bless them. And we gotta also be receptive of help that the Lord sends our way, right? And we also gotta take into account that He sends us to help certain people, or send people our way to help them. If you can, do it. Even if you feel like you can't say, oh, they're not deserving of this help. Can't do that. I used to be in that mindset, in a way of like, okay, they doing X, Y, and Z. I don't think I need to. I'm not. Let me take a step back and move around. But it's like, use your discernment in so many situations, of course. But some of these situations, like me giving somebody information or helping them do this and this, that, don't take away from me at all. I don't feel slighted. And sometimes you may feel slighted. You may feel the type of way. You know, that's why you be like, let me not help. Like, let me not be so helpful, or let me not do this and let me not do this. Like, nah, still be you if that's who you are. And that's what you called to do. Not everyone's going to appreciate that help. Some people are going to take advantage. Some people are not going to realize what you're trying to do for them, or where you're trying to, the information you're trying to give them, what you're trying to get them to see. But you planted that seed, and the Lord will help make that grow. You did your part. You got to keep it moving. So don't try to gatekeep anything. If you feel like it can help them, give them that information, because at the end of the day, those are people they grown, and it's a choice. They can either take that help and do what they need to do, or, you know, they're going to sit on it, whatever. You know, at that point, you did your part. And when it comes to these youngins out here, these young generation, their children, we need to speak to them more and tell them and just help guide them. Whether they're your child or not, whatever setting that you're in. Because I don't want anyone having to experience what they don't need to experience, all because I was withholding some information that could have helped them, and now they're going down this path, this road that they could have, you know, they didn't have to do that if I just told them And sometimes we don't know, so it's like, just don't gatekeep information. And this is like about when you meet strangers, or when you're out and about in the world, it's just like, you lose nothing. You don't lose anything. And use the discernment, because there are some people that will try to come up to you and will try to, you know, find out things about you. Try to, you know, be extra nosy. But those people that actually do monitoring spirits, ask all these questions and try to see what they can do to try to disrupt your peace, you know. But as you use your discernment, you're going to be able to pick up on it and go move them out the way. Pray from and move them on out the way. You don't got to be this big ordeal. Easier said than done. But if you know, you know. That's why you pray every day. You pray for people. Pray for yourself. Okay. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Hope it wasn't too confusing, because I feel like I went around, but I just had to say what I need to say, and it is what it is with it. Because it looks different, because it just looks different. With this spiritual warfare, it's just like learning a lot about it and realizing that if people really had the power that they thought they had, it would have been done by now. If you feel like your life is in an uproar, the Lord will always turn things to work in your favor. So you just gotta trust in His plan for you, and never give up on yourself, and don't give up on the Lord. Even if you got those moments where you stray away, you're losing faith. Continue to hang on. continue to push through, because a lot of people try to attack your belief system as well to try to get you to fall away from your belief, away from Yahweh, because they want you out here, you know, unprotected, and they just want to take away your hope. People try to attack your hope. They don't want you to hope for a better future, hope for a better life, like there's something after this. They don't want you to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like I said, these people, these entities want you to give up on yourself, whether it's jealous people, family members, and also these forces that be that's a part of this matrix that try to keep people down and out, but that's a whole different video. Because a lot of things can be coming at you all at once from different angles. But you just got to keep living your life and keep it moving.